Talk is cheap, my friends. That's what the limbic system says. The talk is cheap. If you say there's no bear outside, show me. Come on, show me there's no bear outside. Now think about that for a moment. Because all CBT, all the talk therapy, all the meditations and everything you've been doing, which are very helpful, don't get me wrong, it's all talk-based. It's providing some kind of counter-argument to the fear in our head, which, again, very, very helpful. But we have to go one step further because the limbic system is too smart. It's too intuitive. It's too simple, in some ways dumb, and too damn reactive. And in fact, if you talk too much to it, it actually gets aroused, right? Now, I've said this before, but it bears worth repeating. Say me and you are sitting on a couch one night watching TV, and then I get up and I just start looking out the window, and then I sit down. And I go to the front door and I check the locks and I look out the window again, I just sit down. Then I get up and I go to the back, check the back door, I lock it, I look out the window, I sit down. And you start to go, is everything all right? And I say, oh yeah, everything's fine, I'm just checking. Everything's good. And I get up and I look out the window again, and eventually you start to go, why are you doing this? If everything's okay, why do you keep getting up and checking everything? I go, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's good. I'm just checking. I mean, how long can this go on before you actually literally start to get aroused? You know, you start to get anxious. You start to get fearful. You start to get concerned. And maybe you start to get up and you start looking out the damn windows and you start checking doors. You start to follow suit. What is he doing? Why is he doing this? Are we in danger? Is somebody out there? Is somebody coming in? Is somebody in the house already? Oh my God, is something wrong with the house? What are we looking for? That's what talk tends to do, especially when it's overly done to the limbic system. It just kind of arouses the limbic system. And of course, as that what we call hyperarousal sets in, that sort of resting your foot, a heavy foot on the gas pedal of the limbic system, of that sympathetic nervous system, symptoms increase, cortisol spikes, adrenaline spikes, response patterns, condition pathways in the brain, all of this stuff is activated. The circuit lights up again. And the loop of illness spins and spins and spins. So talk is cheap. If you say there's no bear outside, show me. That's what the limbic system says. Open the door, walk outside, and not just walk out there and be scared, because if you walk out there and you're scared, well, okay, you're being brave, but all you've convinced me by going outside and shaking and running back to the house or avoiding all of that, you're just telling me, you're just reinforcing to me that there are some kind of source of dangers out there. Right? So there's an art to this, and there's a science to it. One of our biggest efforts, and this is a lot to do with exposure therapy, which has to be done gracefully in a very certain way, is systematically retraining the nervous system that there are no more bears. And while we may be sick, we may be wounded, we may be injured, we're not in imminent danger, guys. And that's what your limbic system needs to hear. And I'll say it again. You might be sick, you might be injured, but you are not in imminent danger. You're just going through a process of recovery. And in fact, and this sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true, the bulk of the suffering is actually the healing part. That's the wildest part about it. But it's so counterintuitive. You know, the more you suffer, the more you go, something's wrong. No, it's actually something's right. This is what it feels like to heal. Healing is painful. Growth is painful. As those receptors begin to heal, as those old openings that used to take in all that excess GABA start to fall out, and you get the synaptic pruning effect. It hurts. When you're pushing back against all that anxiety, fear, conditionment, it hurts. When you're pushing back against physical deconditioning and you're trying to be more physically active again, it hurts. All of it hurts, right? When you're fighting against health anxiety and you're trying to sit there and desensitize and show your nervous system, it's scary and it hurts. That's why we all suffer so much more, because we, by default, try to avoid all this pain. We avoid everything. We isolate. We become deconditioned. We become hypersensitized. We become addicted to rumination. We become like a welfare state system, codependent on the groups and the forums and the people and how many videos do you guys watch a day? How many Benzo podcasts are you subscribed to? Yeah, sure, there's a big part of that you're looking for answers and support and hope. And then another portion of us, we have to consume it. We're like a man who came back from war and he just sits around. We watch war films all day. Of course, what does this do to your traumatized brain? Do you really think it's helpful? No. So there's an art there. There's a balance that needs to happen between finding inspiration, finding useful information, finding a true quote-unquote Benzo buddy, a friend, and making that relationship not toxic, not allowing both of your sympathetic nervous systems to unite and make a marriage in hell. Talk is cheap. If you say there's no bear outside, show me. And this can begin with what I call the 5 senses limbic retraining, which I teach in my course. I teach in my school, the Benzo Recovery School, is first creating a true safe space, a place where we use our senses, not just our mind, to tell our nervous system, but our senses to show pleasure, to show goodness. That's where it begins for most of us. Then we start to graduate. And even then, you could be laying in a bathtub, feeling the warm water, smelling some fragrance that's very pleasing, sucking on a piece of dark chocolate. It tastes very good. You're listening to some soft, pretty music. You open your eyes and you see this candle burning at the end of the bathtub. It's pretty. It's nice. And your limbic system says, you know what? I thought there was bears here. I thought we were in the wilderness and I thought we were in danger, but I'm confused now because we've never been attacked by a bear or in danger with so much goodness around us. The senses convey goodness. This is very powerful in recovery. And so then the task becomes you removing your mind from it to a point. Not engaging in those old pathways that make you obsessive, obsessively ruminating. So you start to disengage from the fear and you lean on the senses, and the senses convey safety. And finally, the limbic system starts to say, okay, now you're showing me. Now you're showing me we're safe. And although we're still suffering and I'm not completely convinced, and to look out for you, I'm going to kind of keep my foot resting on that gas pedal just in case a bear shows up and I have to hit the gas and we can escape danger. But what I will do is I'll let off the gas pedal because there's no need. We don't need to burn all this energy and have all this. If you look at the mechanics of the body of what's actually happening, it's not concerned with fear and narratives in our mind and benzos, and it's a very black and white physiological process happening. But it says, okay, I don't need to expend so much energy and have this cascade of physiological changes in the brain as a result of impending doom or imminent danger, because there really is no danger. So I can let go a little bit, and hyperarousal will start to decrease. And when hyperarousal decreases, anxiety decreases, sleep improves. The good chemistry that's been suppressed by the what would you call it? The avalanche of cortisol and norepinephrine. This good chemistry starts to kind of rise to the surface again. And it can have a lot of really beneficial effect on us. Neuroplasticity effect, anti-anxiety, anti-stress, right? It's not all GABA, guys. It is not all GABA. So again, talk is cheap. That's what the limbic system says. If you say there's no bear outside, show me. Hey everyone, I'm Coach Powers and I'm excited to announce the launch of my new online Benzo Recovery School. The school launched with Module 1 and will have a total of 4 modules, each module with a dozen or more video lessons. Here are some contents in Module 1. This creates the basis for my recovery program. If you know anything about my approach to benzo recovery, you know I'm a bit different than other benzo coaches in that I do not subscribe to the lay and pray model of recovery. Instead, I believe benzo injury is a kind of neurological injury that requires neurological rehabilitation. This neurological rehabilitation encompasses learning how to access our good chemistry while also reducing the so-called bad chemistry, cortisol and adrenaline, and also learning how to lull down our hypervigilant limbic system. This includes learning techniques in CBT, DBT, mindfulness therapy, and neuroplasticity building. Now, I've studied clinical psychology for the last 15 years of my life, and my benzo recovery program encompasses the same things that I use to make my own recovery after a 10-year, 40 milligram Valium dependence. My recovery program observes 4 stages of recovery with 3 tiers of development. In fact, my stages are all focused on development. This makes them different than the 3 obvious stages of recovery, which include the pre-taper, the taper, and post-taper. Instead, my stages serve as a kind of developmental roadmap, with each stage serving as a bridge to the following stage. These 4 stages include Stage 1, restoring hope, Stage 2, the new beginning, Stage 3, the montage, and Stage 4, coming home. Perhaps most importantly, each stage has 3 key learning goals and also 3 key roadblocks. These stages revealed themselves to me after years of working with literally thousands of people from all around the world. After enough experience, you begin to see patterns and trends, and you see where people triumph and what roadblocks can prevent them from moving forward. Now remember, just because you may have come off your benzo doesn't mean you automatically reach Stage 4, the final stage. Again, these are developmental stages, which is why someone can come off of their benzo and still be stuck in their recovery. In fact, it's entirely possible to come off of your benzo and be stuck in Stage 1. Here are some other features the online Benzo Recovery School offers. Aside from being a school, it's also a positive focused support group. And believe me when I tell you, my students are a different breed of benzo warriors. They are wise, they are driven, and they understand the mission. I, Coach Powers, will also be doing live video Q&A weekly in the community, talking, teaching, and answering questions from all of you. There will be downloadable resources such as a rumination and exposure therapy log, templates for checklists, and much more. Additionally, there will be new benzo sleep affirmation videos exclusive for the school, as well as new and early original content. There will be a regular benzo blog, benzo-related news, and even a private early screening for my benzo recovery feature film, Lake of Fire. All of this and only for a special introductory rate of $30 monthly while time lasts. So come join the positive community and let's work together on facilitating our recovery. See you there.